This we are with Nadim El Manawy, who is CEO of Rice Travel. Hi, Nadim.
Hi, Javier. How are you? Thanks for
He's
having me.
based in San Francisco, so we have 9 hours time difference. First of all, thanks for your time and for finding the time to share with us what a promising startup like Rice Travel is doing. The first thing I will ask you, Nadim, is to make a brief presentation of who you are, your background, how you have reached your current responsibilities.
Yep, absolutely. So again, thanks for having me. So I've been in hotel tech since 2012. I grew up in Belgium. I have a college finance background, so nothing linked to travel at first. But when I moved to San Francisco after college in 2011, shortly after, I joined a company called Fouder, which was one of the early cloud PMS company out there for like the independent, small, mid-size, hotel market. And that's how I got into hotel technology, because it's the PMS, right? So I ended up leading sales, partnership with that company, and that's opened the door for me to understanding how really things work behind the scenes in the hotels tech scenes, because being in the PMS, you need to understand how things work on the operational side of things of the hotel, front desk agents, revenue management, accounting, housekeeping, etc. But also we had to connect to channel managers and GDS and switches and wholesalers and all the different types of partners that exist in distribution today. And so that's how I got into it, and that's how also I saw how things work today and what doesn't really work well, and where there was a lot of room for improvement and to completely rethink how hotels can work more efficiently with their partners that sell to the travelers. So I've been in hotel tech ever since. As I said, started in the cloud PMS space and then transitioned to launching Arise, which we'll talk about in a bit, because I saw a clear opportunity to really improve how, again, data is being shared between parties that need to work closely together.
That's a good start. Getting to know very well how the business works is a very good way to be capable to solve the problems and to improve the current situation.
Yeah, I mean, hotel distribution is quite complex, right? So I'm sure most people travel and have tons of ideas on a travel company that is B2C, customer facing. But if you want to improve the plumbing or how things happen behind the scenes, if you haven't worked in that space before, you just have no idea what's going on, right?
Yeah,
So
it's really complicated. Yeah.
So it's a combination of knowing how things function today and how hotels and companies operate, and how can you actually apply more modern technology to try to solve their immediate problems and go from there, right? So so that's me in a nutshell. So based in San Francisco, and that's me.
Not a bad place to be.
Not about, I mean, it has its problems, as I'm sure people are aware, but expensive and other issues. But it's love it. Yeah, great place.
Love it. Well, before talking about Arise Travel, I would like you to explain a little bit more your experience with Plug and Play. So you were chosen by Plug and Play, which is one of the best accelerators in the world, and they also have a very special relationship with the travel vertical. So it's I think it's a great advantage and an honor to be part of Plug and Play. So I would like you to tell us why you decided to go for it. How was your experience, and all the advantages and opportunities that your company has got after the program.
Yep. So we're still actually in the program. It's happening as we speak now. I think we've hit the middle pretty much of it. It goes through Q2 of this year. And so the reason why we decided to do it is because, first of all, you correctly pointed out that they are well recognized within the industry, especially with some strategic partners on both hotel chain side and some like TMCs, or there's also airlines and other partners, but we're more focused with hotel distribution. And they don't take any equity, so they have a different model. So from a startup perspective, it's only a win-win situation where they don't because so many accelerators, they take a lot of percentage and equity
Yeah.
in your company, and most of the time it's not worth it. Whereas here it's like equity free, so it's only like you can gain as much as you can and want from the program, but they again don't expect or take anything in return. So it's only, again, as I said, a win-win. So the reason why we did that is because they have very relevant partners, that some of whom we already knew, but some we actually didn't know yet. So it's a great way to get introduced to some, maybe not all the right stakeholders, but at least it's like you're starting at the right level to initiate meaningful conversations and meetings with some of their hotel chains partners, reinforce the relationship with some of their TMC partners. So that's kind of is the main reason I would say that we joined Plug and Play. And the team is great. Again, great connections. They know, of course, the travel space very well. So it goes beyond their corporate partners. They know also more people. So just being involved and being able to work with them more closely during at least a couple of months is definitely beneficial for us. And then every startup can take and benefit from as much as they want. Like it's pretty hands-free. So if you want to work and allocate more time to the program, you can. If you don't want to, or are too busy with other stuff and have other priorities, that's fine too. Which has worked out pretty well, which is what I liked, because yeah, there's only positive, and you kind of control how much you want to gain or try to gain from the program. So that's why we've
No,
done
I
it,
think
and now we're doing it.
it's a great decision, especially for a company like yours, which is a B2B at the end company. So you
Yep.
need to have the right conversations with the right travel players in the industry. So
Correct.
it's many times you could have a fantastic solution, a fantastic product, but if you don't have access to the right people to evaluate your solution,
Yeah.
nothing works. So let's now go to know better your company, because it's a quite techy company. So
Yes.
it's not the pure funny, lovely travel company. Oh no, it's
No.
really deep tech, the complicated intermediation of the hotel product in a friend enemies environment
Correct.
with,
Yes.
with companies, clients, and also competitors, etc. So I think the best way to do it is just you explaining why you decided to launch these, and what are the strengths, the weaknesses of the company, the milestones. So it's better that
Yeah.
you, with your own words,
Okay.
let us know much better what our
Yeah.
rice travel is.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, it's really about allowing hotels and partners that sell to the traveler. So what I mean by that is could be TMCs, OTAs, tour operators, so corporate or leisure. So all what they consider to be non-direct bookings, right? From a hotel perspective, all their business that is not being booked directly on their brand.com. We are here to optimize how they can actually work with these partners and be way more in sync and be able to work directly with them at scale with much greater control, better capabilities, and better transparency on how data is being used and all the information flowing in real time and synchronizing between two transacting parties. So a hotel and, again, a TMC, an OTA, etc. The reason why we were like, this has to be redesigned and rethought how these partners can share data, is because, again, all these years when I was in the PMS space, I saw all the the data fragmentation that takes place, all the different APIs and data formats and caching, latency issues. Like there is a lot of things happening in today's environment that are just inefficient and also limiting in the capabilities of hotels to be able to collaborate and work much more closely with many of their partners, just because they are constrained by how things currently work through the different APIs and systems they rely on to just transmit data in between them. So what I'm referring to is like you have GDS and channel managers and wholesalers and switches, and it works, but in a way it's like it's not perfect, far from perfect. It prevents really, I think, the two sides to be able to really push their partnerships and personalization capabilities and overall traveler booking experience and search experience to another level. People have been searching and booking a hotel the same way for the past, whatever, 15, 20 plus years now. And it's hard to really innovate because, again, the core infrastructure that is powering how hotels can share data and tweak offers per traveler and so forth in real time you can't really do that on how things have been designed and work, right? So that's why we decided to create Arise, to create this like direct real-time relationship between hotel systems and companies selling their rooms. But also we had to take into consideration an important piece, which falls more on the tech side of things, but where hotel systems, the reservation system, the PMS or the CRS, are not really scalable systems. And what I mean by that is, imagine if you allow Booking, Expedia, Concur, like whoever, to get information directly from the PMS or the CRS without having to cache information somewhere, right? It's all real time. These systems would crash. Like, they're not built to handle all the millions of query load happening every second across all these different services. So that's why even direct APIs to the hotel systems have like shopping limits, restrictions, and only few fields can go through the API, like, and so forth. So a lot of limitations and restrictions on how things currently work. And so we built a technology that allows for hotels to actually push real-time information from numerous different systems, which could be their PMS, CRS for availability, rates, and some rules. But then you also have accurate content. You could have information from your CRM or loyalty program, or like you can feed all relevant information into one, what we call a ledger, or a node is the technical term. But imagine you're a hotel, you can push into one same node, okay, or like a shared database, all the information that you want. And then if you're a partner on the other side, let's say Booking.com for a simple example, Booking.com can then run a copy of what we call this node, of this shared database with the hotels. And then that's what they are querying. So today, if I'm booking, I feed from some direct connects, from channel managers, from a bunch of other stuff. They aggregate, they cache, and then people, when you search on Booking.com, the results are shown from Booking.com cache information, right? Here, essentially, we've created like a real-time distributed cache of information of hotel systems. So a simple example, you are a hotel, you push information into this node, Booking.com then can create a copy, can get access a copy of this node that they can run on their own infrastructure. And that node essentially is a real-time mirrored version of what is at the hotel. So Booking is essentially querying in real-time information that is in the hotel without putting any load in the hotel systems, because they're actually querying their own local node. So you can have millions of nodes running across the globe in real time, and they all synchronize with each other. So essentially, you're creating this like distributed shared ledger between all connected parties that need to be all in sync. And whenever there is a change being pushed by one partner, all the nodes synchronize. So you have really this like shared source of truth between partners across the globe that synchronize in a matter of 1 or 2 seconds whenever there is a change, instead of like, people having to update their cache and how much information can be shared. And this API has this information, but this one has another format, or this can handle loyalty, this one doesn't. Like, there's a bunch of stuff, right? Pricing logic, some, if you want to get into attribute-based shopping and pricing in the future, how is this going to work on today's infrastructure? It's going to be insane and chaos, because even basic room type and availability and rules and lengths of stay-based pricing already has issues. So imagine attribute-based pricing. Like, all of this logic is now pushed into this node. So if I'm a hotel, I can now push and control fully new pricing logic and personalization rules with each unique partner in real time, in a way that just hasn't been possible on the current infrastructure. And so that's kind of like a completely redesign from how things work behind the scenes, but it doesn't actually require at all how to change how hotel operates. Like, from a hotel perspective, it's still the same PMS, it's still the same CRS. Front desk agents have no idea Arise even exists, right? This is really like, once the hotel sets up their rates, rules, etc. within their system, the difference with Arise is that now it automatically now is being pushed in real time as soon as it's in their system and made available to their connected parties, instead of, oh, now I need to map this rate to my channel manager or to my GDS, and then this GDS has then to send it correctly to the other partner on the other side, and so forth. Here, whatever is in the hotel system automatically now gets replicated and made available to the partners that the hotels wants to share data with. So it's really this real-time ease of data sharing that now takes place at scale. It protects the hotels from being overloaded because the load doesn't hit their system anymore. So think of it as a direct connect plus plus, right? For
It's
availability rates
to
and a
be more
bunch of other.
similar to the flight distribution,
Yeah, I mean, some people are like,
similar
yeah,
to the NDC.
correct. Like, yeah, think of it as a powerful NDC for hotels, putting all the controls in the hands of hotels, and also overcoming the scalability limits or restrictions that their systems have. So they have full in a way, full NDC kind of like power and control. Even if they have maybe a system is like, we give them the possibility to actually be able to operate as if they had the most powerful system in the world with all the control they need and want.
So actually, as you said, you are right. Basically, the plumbers of
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
the
like
infrastructure.
a traveler will never know a rise exists, right? Like the only difference they'll notice is like, oh, if let's say now they book or search a hotel on a partner that is benefiting from our solution, they'll realize that the content is completely up to date. All the cancellation policies and whatnot are exactly what the hotel wants them to see. Negotiate rates if they have loyalty information, like basically more relevant, like precise, tailored results for whoever the traveler is what they're going to notice. So they're going to be like, oh, Concur really improved their offering now. Everything makes way more sense than before. Great, I'm going to book, but they have no idea it's a rise. For them, it's just like, okay, now Travel Perk is great, or Concur is great. That's all they're going to notice. But to your point, yeah, we are just the invisible data sharing infrastructure or plumbing. So only hotels, or not even individual hotel, they might not even know a rise exists. Like right now, we're talking to hotel chains. So the chains at the corporate level know, of course, about a rise, and we work and implement the solution with them. But individual GMs, they don't even know what's going on, right? For them, they're just going to be like, oh, okay, now it doesn't cost me anymore $6, $7, $10 GDS fees because there are no more GDS. Okay, great. I have less data quality problem, less overbookings, or less complaints about traveler complaining about the information that was not accurate or whatever. Like everything now is streamlined. Great. But they just think that maybe it's Hilton or ISG that improved their technology. They don't know if it's a Rise or something else, right? So the goal is really just to work closely with the corporate level of the chains and implement the solution across their brands. And then the similar strategy will be with PMS and CRS providers that work with independents, so that then they can also benefit from the technology and make it available to their hotel customers. But let's say a customer that use Muse or Cloudbeds or Apaleo or whatever, they might never know even about a Rise. All they'll see is that now, oh, okay, Apaleo has great technology that allows us to work directly with these partners in a way that we were not able to before. They don't even know about a Rise. So that's kind of like how we're trying to position it and grow. So our close partners are going to be the chains, corporate level, and the PMS servicing the long tail and independents.
So actually, your client would be the hotel chains.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we work with both because the demand partners, TMC, OTAs, can also, of course, the goal is that they can connect and leverage the solution to work better with the hotels. So I would say we have clients on both sides, but our main clients are 100% the hotels because they are the ones to whom we are giving now this technology for them to have full control and greater capabilities over their distribution than they've never had before, right? And then the demand partners then benefit from it, from being able to start now improving the results to their traveler, and they get into personalization capabilities that they just haven't had the possibility to do before, and just also streamline a lot of the business operations when working with hotels, like like speed up rate loading and like commission reconciliation, booking reconciliation. Like there's a lot of things now that you have one source of truth between the two sides, it just helps a lot of processes that today are kind of like all over the place. Both sides benefit, but to answer your question, yes, our main partners and customers are 100% the hotels, but indirectly the demand partner as well.
Yeah, but actually the demand partner is key for you, because if your solution is not adopted by the travel sellers,
Yeah, then it doesn't matter. Yeah,
then it doesn't
exactly.
matter.
Yeah,
So,
they
okay, I
both
have a
sides need to
fantastic
show
solution
value.
for the hoteliers, but nobody is connecting to, nobody's using my infrastructure,
Then it
So,
doesn't matter. Correct.
so in some cases, your own clients, their own hotels, put pressure on the travel service, and in other cases, is a Rise Travel who explains, hey, that's the best way, it's a better way to distribute, less cost, more effective, less gaps in terms of caching all the information, etc. So
Correct.
that you are actually in the middle, and your business model is more focused on getting revenue from the hotel chain.
Hotels. Correct.
Okay. And your geographical footprint, I guess that now at the beginning you are more focused on the on the United States, no, I guess.
Yeah, correct. So like right now, the goal, the way we've approached this initially is connecting two parties on either on both sides. So a hotel chain with a demand partner that already have an existing relationship. They do business either through GDS, Switch, EPS, like a combination of all of that.
Okay, you are
Both,
improving current relationships.
yeah, we're basically improving current relation because both, and the goal is like, okay, once you find two sides, I mean, one on each side that agree that the way they do right now business is not great. It could greatly be improved for a bunch of different reasons. And they both see benefit in leveraging our solution instead. And so then you agree, and then you move their production to our solution instead of via the infrastructure they've been relying on. So it's really finding these two endpoints. And so that's indeed, we've been focusing, and we have the initial ones here about to go live. It's in the US. So we big global chain, US based, with some of the TMCs here in the US. But actually, we're moving to Europe also because some other big global chains are looking for TMCs in Europe, actually, as ideal first partner to be able to test and demonstrate this at scale. So it's going to be a focus Europe and US, because even our team actually is split between US and Europe right now. We have developers in Spain and France, actually. The immediate short midterm focus will be North America and Europe, 100%. Right now, it's true the first partners are US based, even though it's global chains, but it's moving to Europe. So,
Yeah, I'm not wrong. You have also offices in Paris and Warsaw. No?
Warsaw, actually, we have an office that we're not using much, but like we have folks in Paris, Nice, Barcelona now, and me and my co-founder are in San Francisco.
Okay, so you are talking repeatedly about TMCs, but you haven't mentioned OTAs. It's more complicated the relationship with them, I guess.
It's not that it's complicated. I mean, it's just different use case. And the reason why I mentioned more TMC than OTAs at this time is because we're following what hotel chains are wanting to test our technology first with whom. And so this focus is really with corporate travel. Like if I need to summarize the way they're approaching it, is like, hey, corporate travel represents whatever, 25, 30, 40% of our business. So it's huge. And there is more friction, more limitations than leisure, even though there's tons of things to do on leisure, but basically corporate travel sucks more, put it that way, okay? And so they're like, let's focus on improving how we work with TMCs as a first step, and then we can look into how we can also then start improving things on the leisure side. So that's why I mentioned TMC more than OTAs, just because chains want to push initially our technology with TMCs first before looking at, again, ways to improve with tour operators and OTAs. But it's the same technology, it's just different focus and different use cases. So 100% we're not we want to work with OTAs and tour operators, etc. in the future. But we are kind of like also following what makes the most sense as a first initial step with the hotel partners.
I guess also that when you focus more on Europe, you have also a good opportunity with let's call it traditional travel agencies. They are not pure TMCs, they are not OTAs. They have large volumes of clients, revenue, etc. And I think they will benefit clearly from your technology in order to manage their business travelers and also the, let's call them leisure travelers, no? So, and this is not the
And
kind
that's the thing.
of
And that's
the
like,
agency that you have in the States, but there are quite large travel agencies like that in Europe, and I mean in Spain, in France, in Italy, even you in UK, you know. So I guess
yep.
that's a good opportunity for you in the future. Let's talk a little bit about your potential competitors.
Hmm.
Do you think that there are similar companies like you, or you are actually creating a new space?
So it depends how you look at it. Some people will, I mean, there is always competition. If there is no competition
Yeah,
at all, that
in
means
travel there is always
weird,
competition.
right? Like there is always some sort of competition. Now, with that being said, are there really others taking a similar approach than we do in terms of using, we use like what we call distributed ledger technology or private blockchain. I know people think blockchain, Bitcoin, which has nothing to do with what we
Yeah.
do. But so taking this decentralized data sharing model that we're doing, with hotel distribution, there hasn't been many, I would say, that are taking a very similar approach to us. There were some initiatives in the past, but that were more crypto focused, like Winding Tree and some other.
The original, no, went in tree quite few years ago. No, I think we're talking
Yeah, they
about
were. Yeah.
many years ago, when the
Uh,
father said that we all were stupid and didn't know anything about the industry.
right, exactly. So they came in, I think, with the wrong approach and mindset, but also like the use of tokens and public blockchains and blah blah. Like again, this doesn't fit with how hotel operates and the requirements in today's environment. So can't really argue nothing against the overall grand vision of these types of companies. It's just that in reality, it doesn't fix immediate problems and doesn't really add any value in today's world. Maybe in 20 years we'll see, but at least for now, like we believe our like data sharing approach makes way more sense, and it's proven to be. Now there are other many startups that are trying to improve and become like a better GDS or a more modern switch or however you want to call it. So we don't really see them as direct competition, because again they're kind of recreating what already exists, so it's just adding minor improvements to what already has been in place for the past 20 years, but it's not really changing drastically how really hotels will be able to work and share data and fully control things in ways that are completely different into another level. But in a way, they are going to talk to the same hotel chains. They are going to talk to the same partners and just say like, hey, we can connect you better and we have better capabilities, blah, blah, blah. So the pitch at a high level might sound the same. But then if you start looking at how things work, you're like, okay, this is just like another switch with maybe some better API or some additional functionality with payments and stuff for. But actually, it's nothing really different than what has been around for the past like 15, 20 years. They're still just another service provider sitting in between hotels and whoever on the other side doing the same thing. And here, I'm sure if you follow, there's a lot of companies doing that, like Impala, Hyperguest, Hotel Trader, Catanox. I don't know. I'm trying to think of others, but I'm sure there's like 5 to 10 that are kind of like all doing similar things ish. Yeah, I mean that it's good that there are those companies because it just again shows, and I think it's no secret for anyone, that the current infrastructure needs improvement no matter what, because there is so many like limitations and data fragmentation and just the infrastructure is just old and how things have been working for the past couple of decades. But we just don't believe that building following the same model that what has already been in place is the way to go if you really want travel to evolve over the next 10, 20, 30 years, rebuilding what has already been in place, knowing also how the speed of innovation is really now, and I think the traveler expectations are going to evolve so rapidly, not just with the whole ChatGPT, but also many other stuff happening, that it will require so much more real-time information and personalizations to happen on the fly with different partners working together efficiently. That for that to happen, you need an infrastructure that we believe has to be designed in the way that we are doing it, and not just be another centralized service provider sitting in between parties that yeah, this won't work or do much. So I know this is a long answer to your question,
No,
but
no, but it's a perfect explanation. So, well,
um,
actually, you are explaining is that you provide, let's call it a retail approach to the hotels
you have to,
instead of
yeah,
uh, proposing minor tweaks in the traditional way in which they were distributing their products. So it's actually a complete mindset. In the airline industry is happening the same. So it's the idea is to stop selling just purely airline tickets and become a real retailer. And the
mhm,
hotel should be a retailer, being capable to define the product more flexible, having the access to many different kind of partners, some of them not even too much related to the travel industry. So you need
correct,
infrastructure to do that. No? The
yep,
question is that we've been talking or we've been hearing about that for the last 10 years.
mhm,
And in every conference and all the big five consulting companies publish reports saying the future retailing. So, and nothing happened at the end of the day. So my
yeah,
question
but in
is,
yeah.
the pandemic has really changed, or we are still trapped in a, let's call it, marketing approach to innovation. So people
Yeah.
is more worried about saying that they are going to do something instead of actually doing something.
But I actually think most people just don't know how to execute on their ideas. Like, because if you see other industries, things are evolving quickly. So people involved in the travel industry know what most likely people are going to be expecting, in the future, and how travel should be like come 5 or 10 years from now. So that's why, to your point, you have the same conversations at every conference over and over about we wish, or in the ideal world, this should be like that, and blah blah blah. But in reality, I don't think it's because people don't want to execute on it. It's really because, again, knowing how things work today and all the issues and things that they need to deal with on an ongoing basis every day, how do they go from here to here? Like, they have all these brilliant ideas, but they're stuck and operating in a way that just doesn't give them the opportunity to get there. And so I strongly believe that until the infrastructure, again, is not redesigned and doesn't put the hotels in a position to start really being more proactive, to become these, like, have these advanced retailing capabilities in the future, they'll be stuck, and you'll be hearing the same talks again in 5 years in other travel conference, if things stay the same. And so that's been the challenge, because if you're a hotelier, you want to innovate, but at the same time you are so stuck in your day-to-day dealing with all your crap, right? That it's, how do you allocate time and resources? So it's finding those incremental steps on how, like, okay, today you're stuck here, we want to get here. Let's find ways where you can, like, incrementally slowly get you there over the next couple of years, right? Because doing a jump from 0 to 100 will never happen. Like, so that's kind of like what we're working on, baby steps to get the big goal. But it has to start by having a modern infrastructure to power all these steps, because otherwise, again, you'll be stuck along the way and be talking again about the same wish in 10 years otherwise. Exactly.
Last question,
Yeah.
Nadim. Try to forecast the future. Where do you see your company in a 1 year time?
In a when?
1 year time.
1 year.
1 year. Yeah, just 1 year.
Yeah.
That it's even difficult 1 year, so imagine five.
Yeah. In 1 year time, it will be proven that we'll have at least a couple big major chains that have been live with the first handful number of partners, which probably the majority of them at this point will be TMCs. Hopefully, some leisure ones will have started by then also, but probably the majority will have been corporate partners at this stage. And it's really just to, as I mentioned, about these incremental steps. So in a year from now, you're not going to completely revolutionize corporate travel, right? But you're going to start already seeing how people who are leveraging our technology have way less data quality problems. The traveler experience has gone up, because now, especially in the corporate travel space, people have negotiated rates, loyalty points, they have negotiated specific perks and whatnot. All of that now is streamlined, and so the traveler has a much better positive experience booking through their corporate TMC or OBTs that they rely on, that are working with the RISE. So to answer again your question, back to your question, it's being able to, we will have demonstrated with at least a handful number of partners on both sides that it's a win-win on the hotel side and the demand side, and that even though they might not have still completely changed and pushed like attribute-based pricing and pushed, let's say, the NDC of hotels at scale, but it would have already been the early signs that this is going to be the way to go moving forward.
Good. Sounds good. Well, we'll have the opportunity in 1 year time to interview you again.
Yeah, we'll see. Exactly.
You can explain firsthand all the success that your company has achieved during this promising year. Thanks again, Nadim, for your time, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Travelthink is a non-profit initiative launched and managed by Dr. Javier Gonzalez-Soria in 2006, focused on new trends, innovation, and startups in the travel tech space. Thousands of professionals receive the Travelthink news, where travel top leaders and entrepreneurs share their insights and reflections.